This experience took place early in the year 2000 in a small town in north-central Florida. The night began with my attendance to a keg party consisting of a near-full keg, an apartment that I had never been to, and about 25 college-aged people, about one-third of which I knew. I had already consumed about 4 or 5 beers, but I have a high tolerance for alcohol, so the effects were not overpowering. Not long after I was at the party, I was engaged in a conversation with a friend of a friend that I had heard of, but never actually met. We talked about music and the local drug scene for about 15 minutes or so, when he brought up the subject of acid. Not soon after, he sold me 5 tabs of paper that he said were quite potent for a cheap $10. I was surprised at the low price, but split the tabs with my close friend Eric, each of us eating 2.5 tabs. We soon left the party to go to our friend Jennifer's house to listen to some new house music Jennifer had bought and to play her old, original Nintendo system with classic games, Tetris, etc. I rode with Eric. We got there and played Legend of Cage and listened to Jennifer spin her house records. I soon started feeling a bit strange, but I had tripped many times before this, and it was not anything new. I smoked a few cigarettes and kept playing Nintendo, noticing that no one had said a word for quite a while, at least 10 minutes. 2 new people soon came by, bringing with them burgers from Crystal's, a fast food chain. Justin, one of the newcomers, announced directly to me that he was tripping pretty hard, and wasn't particularly happy about his trip, but that he was always up for eating crystals. I was familiar that the chemical composition of LSD was crystalline, and it made me a bit curious of his statement. He then repeated the statement a few more times and laughed a scary, demonic-type laugh. I had seen Justin a few times before this, but I was not his good friend, and had never seen him like this. Not soon after, I began to trip extremely hard, and I got a strong feeling that the people I were with, even my friends, had an evil nature to them. I concluded this based on the things they said and the looks they gave me. It seemed that whenever I would think this, whoever I was thinking of would look at me and give me an evil, knowing smile. I became more and more frightened of the people and situation in Jennifer's house, and I had a strong feeling that I needed to leave soon or I would start freaking out. I looked at Eric, and mentioned the idea of leaving soon. Immediately, Justin asked Eric where his keys were. It was then that I realized Eric had lost his keys, and I was stuck in this house with these people. The situation was now elevated, and I was soon so freaked that I fled the house alone without anyone noticing. I found myself under the street light outside. I looked up into the artificial light, wondering what I had done and what on earth I was going to do with myself. I looked back to the ground, and saw something I will never forget. There were 3 small black kittens circling me and meowing silently. I bent down to touch them, and they kept circling, not affected whatsoever by my petting. I began to really freak and I started running in the direction of my house, which was about 5 miles away. I soon found myself in the middle of a mid-high class neighborhood at about 5:30 Saturday morning. The sky was beginning to take on a reddish-pink hue, yet it still retained its dark blue night shade. I wondered how I had gotten there. I was supposed to be in my own neighborhood. Yet I felt like I wasn't in a neighborhood at all, but in another dimension or reality. After staring around intently at this interesting new place, I lost all previous fear and anxiety, and things began to take on an unexplainable mathematical clarity. I was not visually hallucinating, however. I was just able to look at the road, the blades of grass, the gentle breeze, and the trees, seeing them all as extremely complex mathematical equations and expressions. I was overwhelmed by the sensations, and I collapsed into the yard of an unknown resident. As my body hit the grass, I suddenly felt as if I had lost my mortal body and my consciousness had elevated into the afterlife. And then it happened. The colors and shapes of everything around me turned into giant fractals. My history and existence was an entire world of chaos math and never-ending, intelligent fractals, expanding and developing into infinity. My mind was at a peace I can never describe. To this day, I honestly believe that equations, fractals, and math govern our universe and compose the afterlife. Is it my own personal LSD psychosis, or had I seen the afterlife? I have not and will never eat LSD again, for fear of my own sanity. I still attend the University of Florida, and I maintain good grades, but I frequently think back to that strange, revolutionary experience, and I always will. I honestly believe it was not just a giant, drug-induced hallucination, but was an actual glimpse into further dimensions and realities.